If you're a crafter who has struggled with finding that balance between a beautiful craft room and the ability to find everything when you need it, then today's video is for you. Let's go. Hello, I'm Noreen Burke from The Crafty Organizer, and on this channel I love doing organizing, decluttering, upcycles, DIYs, and anything crafty. I love my craft space. It is the area I go to be creative, to decompress, and I also use this as my office. Lately, every time I come in here though, it zaps everything out of me because it's been messy. I've had a very busy life lately. I still had Christmas things out in my craft space. I know, please leave me a comment right now if you're sharing this woe. But I'm not using this space as my outlet, freedom, decompression space anymore, so I had to do something. One day, to escape everything in life, I was looking through my Facebook page and I found someone called Barefoot and Freckled. I was immediately drawn to her because of the way she had her craft space set up. I thought she had a store, and she does, but she uses her store to sell her items. Her craft space is actually set up so that everything she uses is out in the open. And a light bulb went off in my head, and I want to bring you along with me on the journey to make that happen in my space. Now, some things really work for me. I love my storage wall with the rain gutters. I love using my larger jars for my smalls, and I absolutely still love my scrapbook paper organizer. I still like my boxes as well, but oftentimes I forget what I have, like all of these craft kits that I have, or these blanks that I wanted to personalize, and these doors that I've had for a long time. As you may or may not know, what I am sitting in is just a section of my garage. These bookcases make a faux wall, which means the rest of my garage is behind them, and to the other side of me is where I have my laundry space. I also have large storage units that house all of my extra supplies, and I'm one of those people that loves upcycling. So if I see even the tiniest bit of value in an item, I'll throw it in a bin and store it over there. Now, I have everything organized over there, but I don't remember what I have. And when I come to craft in here, it's usually because I've seen something online and I go specifically looking for those things. I don't sit down and look around and see what I have and get that creative spark. So I've decided, even though I love having things put away and easily marked, I want to switch things up a little bit more to have them out in the open to see if I get more of that inspiration when I walk in here, because I'll remember what I have. So I started with cleaning up my space, and that means taking everything off of my shelves. I like doing this every few months anyway because these are inexpensive melamine shelves. It gives me the chance to flip all of the shelves so that they stay flat and they don't bow. And it also gives me a chance to clean and peek at what I have and make sure that if there's anything I should be purging, I can. One of those things I'm deciding to purge is this Totally Tiffany wine box that I made. Even though I still love it, I'm going to set it on the other side of my garage for a little bit because it really was one of my favorite crafts that I ever made, and I think it's still super functional. It's just as I went through the drawers, most of them were empty. I have it down in the corner on the floor. I'm not using it, so I'm going to take it out of my space and use that real estate for items that I want to start crafting with. Now, I started bringing in all of those supplies that were sitting on the shelf behind me, and right now I'm just doing a high-level sort. That includes all of these craft kits that I had. I got a lot of these free samples while I was working with Annie's Creative Studio. Oftentimes they would send me 2 or 3 kits as I was building them for them, and I didn't know what to do with the extras, so I've just been saving them. So I'm going to go through and once again pull out those ones I'm never going to use or that had supplies left over, and I'm going to be donating those to the Disabled Artists Foundation. They collect art supplies and divvy them up and supply them to people with disabilities who otherwise would not have either the funds or the accessibility to these supplies. I'll have the link for the Disabled Artists Foundation in my description box, so please check that out if you have art supplies and craft items that you're no longer using. I was being pretty ruthless on this day, which was good. I needed to. So items that I still had immediate ideas with on what to do, I was putting on my shelves. Those items that I haven't used for a long time or I knew I was never going to use, I was getting rid of them. My goal is to only have the items that I plan on actively using in my space, and everything else needs to go. Now, this is the face of someone who said, "Oh my gosh, I've been looking for this." Has that happened to you? Please tell me in the comment below that I'm not alone. So this is the wall that's separating my laundry area from my craft space, and most of this is working. There's a few items I'm going to get rid of, but this space that you see when I'm doing videos is what I really want to focus on. So I'm going to start putting the likes with the likes based on how I would do projects, and I'm going to make it look as aesthetically pleasing or store-like as I can. Now, these little sample doors are something that I get from Home Depot and Lowe's, and I love turning them into crafts like this. So now it's time to set up my store. I'm going to be putting the similar items together. As you know, I always suggest putting likes with likes. So I'm getting all of those blanks that I would use my Cricut for to make signs or decor in one section. Gifts that I have bought that I wanted to redo, I'm going to keep in another area. And all of those kits that I have, I'm going to keep also in a separate area. I had these little wire baskets that I found at Daiso about 1.5 years ago, and I'd meant to do a different DIY with them, but they weren't being used. So for right now, I'm going to let them house the things so that they're together, but not just on a shelf. Again, I want to go for that aesthetic that looks nice still, but has that ability for me to shop within those categories. Now, I love my little jars, but I've noticed they've been empty. I haven't filled them up for a while, so that's taking up prime space. So those that are full will stay, but these lesser filled ones, I'm going to pour the contents into these little cello bags, and I use those little bags inside of one of my bigger jars. So again, I have these little tiny items. I'm going to pour it into one of the little plastic bags, and you can pick these up at Hobby Lobby. Sometimes they even have them at the dollar store. But then those little bags go into one jar that is just called Smalls. And when I'm working on a project, I know I can dump this jar out, peek through what items I have, and be creative, and then shove them all right back into a jar. But you could also do this with a box or another container. Now, this pains me. These are not my boxes. I got them from clients, and they work great because they're the same size and height as drawer dividers. But I'm not using them. They're taking up space, so I'm letting them go. Another item I like are these bottles. I think they're really pretty, but they don't look pretty on my shelf. So I'm using a seam ripper to gently take off the plastic. And this way, when they're sitting on my shelf, they don't stick out so much. They'll blend with my background. And again, these seam rippers work really well. Just get it under the little tiny edge and slice through, and they come right off. Now, with these assortment of jars, they look super nice and clean on my shelf. Now, I have one box of extra new things where I keep my supplies that have come in that don't have a set home, but that means I'm forgetting about some of these things. Now, this isn't my miscellaneous box, that's different, but I'm going to go ahead and sort these out and get those supplies that are like the other ones out so that I know they're there and I can see them. I'd forgotten about these little strips of ribbon that I had. I'm going to put those into a bag as well. And then I found a spool of twine that was almost empty. So I'm going to take that off of the spool, go ahead and wrap it up, also put that into a baggie, and I'll bet you know what I'm going to do with these little bags. I'm going to go ahead and get my jar out, keep all of those little ribbons inside so that when I need a scrap of small ribbon, it's easy to access. Now, with that empty spool, I had a larger bit of twine left over, which is horribly tangled, but once I got it untangled, it was easy for me to go ahead and wrap it around that spool, and now I can put this with my other extra ribbons, and it's easy to get to, and I won't have to fight with it the next time I want to use it. If you hit the Dollar Tree often, you know in the Crafter's Square they have these great sheets of stickers and rhinestones, and I love these. But once again, they take up a lot of space. Something I've done in the past is take them out of the packaging, and once again with one of my large jars, I'm able to slide it in. They stay clean and dry, and they're easy to access. Now, as you shop through stores, you know the aesthetic of how things are displayed is half the fun of shopping. So I'm just as indecisive as you guys. So if you have a hard time knowing where to put things, know that I struggle with that too. I'm going to keep playing around with how things are set up so that it's easy for me to access, but also easy for me to see. My goal is to be inspired when I sit here. Now, if I haven't talked about these shelves before, if you have bookcases, these MDF boards or melamine sheets are easy to get cut down at your local hardware store, and you could add more shelves as needed. These extra shelves allow me to make almost a drawer out of these little baskets, which will be great because, again, I can see the category, but it looks nice. Now, I'm going to keep these last few ribbons inside of that extra new things and set that aside. Another thing I'm going to get rid of is I had made this custom marker holder about 2 years ago, and even though it still held up well, I found I wasn't using my pens as much anymore. So I rearranged some of my ribbons, and with these little leftover Christmas cups, I'm making holders for all of my pens so that when I'm sitting at my craft table, I can easily access them. I was being silly because they were Christmas cups and the red and white stripe didn't match my vibe, but I didn't want to go shopping, so I'm just coloring the top part of the cup so that when they're in my little gutter, they all still look nice. It's all about aesthetics, isn't it? So here's how my space looked before. I always want that cohesive look, and I think I managed that. So those kits are all in a little basket right here. All of those gifts that I want to upcycle are over here on this shelf. And I have those door blank samples over here on a shelf so I can get to them. Now, I do still have more of these. I'm leaving those in the garage, but this reminds me that they're there so I can easily see these items, come in, grab an item, and be creative. But I think the overall look is still really pleasing. I'm actually excited about my space right now, which I haven't been for about 3 months. This updated area with my washi tape and pens will allow me to do more card making, journaling, and just be a little bit more creative. But again, these areas work for me. My scrapbook paper, my little boxes, those won't go away. And my desk is going to remain exactly as it is because it works. So before, after, and you guys, I'm ready to get crafting. I know so many of you are really visual. I have had so many comment dialogues with, I like having my things organized but labeled inside of boxes. And so many of you say, if I can't see it, I don't use it. And I didn't think I was like that, but maybe as I'm aging, I'm noticing that if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. I cannot tell you how many things I opened and went, oh, I forgot I had that. Oh my gosh, I forgot I had this. Oh yeah. So I'm really excited about coming in here when I have a little bit of free time and pulling things out and getting creative again. So if this idea is exciting to you, I have to give credit to Barefoot and Freckled. Definitely check out her page. She has got some beautiful design ideas and you have to look at her craft space. It is gorgeous. So check her page out. I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you've been following me, you know about some of the things that have been happening. My dad is, yes, still in the hospital. Today is day 77. They cannot get the sepsis under control, so they've been giving him large amounts of antibiotics, but the antibiotics are making him sick and he keeps losing weight. So it's this delicate cycle of trying to fight the infection, keep him eating and keeping him from losing more weight, but then not letting the infection grow again. So we're really hoping that we're at the tail end of this. But as a result, I seem to have let everything else go in my life, and I'm trying very hard not to beat myself up for it. It's just where I'm at right now. At the end of every day, I have very little energy and oomph left, and what I do have left is going to my family and those who I care about. So I'm struggling, but I'm going to get through, and I'm really hoping that creating this new space where I can come out here and decompress, it's always therapeutic when I get to craft, and I'm hoping that'll help. So thanks for being on this journey with me. While I've been shut out, I missed 2 milestones. I hit 300 videos since I started uploading on YouTube, and I hit 6.5 million views. What? How did that happen? That's incredible. And I have you guys to thank for it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for re-watching videos. That has really helped while I've been missing in action on YouTube. And as always, I cannot do this without my support of my patrons. So thank you guys, and I will see you in a few days. Bye.